Dude. What the fuck? Just tell me if you want the spicy chicken nuggies or not. I am going to get out of this car and scream.
Pronouns. I mean, you speak directly to the reader. You say, you feel this way. You think this way. And a lot of people read that and say, I do think that way. This is a person who's speaking directly to me in a way that, mainstream political books very often do not. They consider me sort of a widget in whatever ideology they're pushing, or they're considering the value of systems or not systems. But you sort of end around that. And I think that in many ways, that's what members of the left find so threatening, is because if you're a member of the left and you believe that all individuals are essentially just the outgrowths of institutions, and therefore that all change by individuals is going to be insufficient, and that it must be societal change that creates individual change, you're a threat, because you're telling people, well, the systems can certainly get better, but the...
What? Wait, why would that be threatening? Literally zero people that are like actual fucking leftists would be like, I hate that you are making a structural analysis. I hate that you are advocating for structural change rather than believing in the baby-brained idea that like individuals are good or bad. Wow, it's a real threat when people advocate for systemic change, like systemic racism. Now the difference is like Jordan Peterson will literally say there is no gendered patriarchy, or if there is one, it's good. Okay? There is no like patriarchal heteronormative existence, but if there was one, that would be good. That's all he's fucking saying, when you can actually, push him into a fucking certain point of view, because he will never give you anything, because he's slippery as fuck. As opposed to Ben Shapiro, who's literally like, systemic racism does not exist. So why is he, I think he said the opposite. Wait, he's saying people on the left find you threatening because...
So threatening is because books very often do not. They consider me sort of a widget in whatever ideology they're pushing, or they're considering the value of systems or not systems, but you sort of end around that. And I think that in many ways, that's what members of the left find so threatening, is because if you're a member of the left and you believe that all individuals are essentially just the outgrowths of institutions.
Oh, he's saying the left believes this. Okay, that's true.
And therefore that all change by individuals is going to be insufficient. And that...
Okay, but that part is fucking ridiculous. Not a single person is like people, I get annoyed when people are constantly like, no, only advocate for systemic change and don't focus on the fucking individuals. Like you're referencing like 11 people, okay?
And it must be...
That's not like a real fucking thing.
Societal change.
Those people also have the capacity to be delusional as well, for the record. Like, you can be a leftist and still be delusional or stupid, for the record. It's like, that's not a... There is no such thing where it's like, I subscribe to one ideology and that means I am ultimately the smartest person in every fucking room. And anyone who tries to tell you that is an idiot, okay? There are plenty of morons on the left. There are a lot more morons on the right, but there are plenty of fucking idiots on the left too.
That creates individual change. You're a threat, because you're telling people, well, the systems can certainly get better, but the main threat to you is you. And that is a deeply threatening message to people. And if people find fulfillment in that message, then the left really does have a problem, because if people start improving their lives within the system and not blaming the system for their problems, and instead recognizing that they can improve their lives, that's what members of the left hate most of all. You talk about in the book, Jordan.
Yeah, people on the left fucking hate self-improvement, dude. My God, I fucking literally, I hate it so much, dude. I get so mad when I think about people making their lives better. My God. Nothing triggers me more than this, boys. Nothing. And I mean nothing. Self-improvement. Oh, I'm so mad. It's a wonderful argument because ultimately it is reduced to the age-old recycled content, which is leftists are dirtbags and fucking hippies and unwashed. And if you get a haircut and you get a job, then you won't be a hippie anymore. Like, that's basically what Ben Shapiro is saying. And that's why leftists hate self-improvement. Because like if they would improve themselves, then ultimately they'd be conservative. You're a fucking idiot, okay?
The fact that people are constantly coming up to you and they're saying things like, I was leading a dissolute life. I read your book. I started taking your advice and I've turned it around and now I'm doing much better in life. And, I'm blessed to have much the same experience from a lot of people who listen to the show, people who have been homeless, who now have graduated Harvard Law School, people who were single moms and then decided to take a college course and figure out their lives, people who have made mistakes and turned their mistakes around. And to me, those are inspirational stories. I think that because those inspirational stories exist, that I think is why people find you to be such a threat. It's because so many people are inspired by the stuff that you say and change their life individually without putting all of their ire and focus on a system that the left is mainly focused on tearing down.
I defy anyone to go read 10,000 comments on my YouTube channels and not come away.
Dude, why the fuck would anyone do that, dude? Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
With a much refreshed view of human nature. The comments are, in the main, unbelievably positive, and not in a naive sense. They're positive in a thoughtful sense and in a communal sense, because the people who are making comments on the lectures are also commenting on each other. And there's ideological babble on both sides. I would say that's probably 5% of the comments. And generally, I believe they're written by people who didn't actually watch the lecture, because they're often out of context. But in any case, 95% of the comments are thoughtful, but also extremely positive, which is very rare in a social media comment.
Imagine trying to trash someone whose words help out thousands yearly. Bro, why doesn't he fucking help himself, dude? That's all I want. Yo, help yourself out and then help out some bitches, dude. Seriously, Jordan Peterson. Okay? How about you self-help yourself? Okay?
Comment landscape, which tends to be very, very toxic.
Yo, I can't believe this guy would have the audacity to come into my chat of all chats and criticize me, a person who helps out thousands of individuals every single day, dude. It's crazy.
And so I think that's absolutely great. And it certainly has that impact on me when I read it. But then here's something else that I've observed in the media attacks that have been directed towards me. They're not.
It's wonderful, dude. There is not a single mention of wealth inequality here, dude. This entire video sucks. And I can't even fault Ben Shabibo for this, for trying to at least clickbait. Because you can't pin him down on a singular position. I literally thought there was going to be some brilliant analysis on how personal responsibility is not happening enough in society, and that's why there's wealth inequality. And I can't believe people are blaming systems when it's just work harder, forehead. But we've watched 9 minutes of this, and I haven't even heard the fucking classic conservative takes. There's just nothing.
Not just directed towards me. First, they're directed to who they think I am. So that's kind of interesting to begin with. But more than directed to me, and more perniciously, is that they're
Wait, did they talk about it while I was peeing in the bathroom, maybe?
Directed to those who are hypothetically following me. Now, I don't regard myself as someone with followers. I regard myself as someone with viewers, listeners, and readers. And that's different. But in any case, my typical follower, so goes the story, is a disaffected, angry, young white male. And for a while, I, in some sense, pushed back against that and said, well, my audience is about 70% male, but YouTube skews male, so that's perhaps part of the reason. And I see no evidence that it's particularly limited racially or ethnically, especially when I see my lecture crowds and when I meet people on the street. But then I started to realize that that was the wrong response. The right response is, why does it disturb you so much that there's a group of people who, by your own admission, are disaffected and angry and alienated and young, and I'm helping them? And why is that exactly a problem?
Because you're not helping them, dumbass. That's the point. Helping them with regular self-help shit, yeah, that's one thing, okay? But it's like saying Tony Robbins helps millions of people a year, okay? It's a grift, ultimately. It's like saying an evangelical pastor helps their community. It's how much you put in the tithe that is a problem, and what you get out of it that is still ultimately a problem. There's some truth to it. Maybe the evangelical pastor's fucking take and preaching of the endless preaching of the prosperity gospel maybe gives people the motivation to go out and work. But ultimately, all he's doing is fucking all he's doing is filling up his own coffers, paying for another private jet at the cost of, was it Tony Robinson? I always forget the fucking name of the self-help guru guy. But regardless, like, I mean, he's technically helping them. He's giving, if you ask those, Tony Robbins, not Robinson, sorry. If you ask those people, they feel like they're being helped. But it's like, if you're guiding your flock, the direction that you're guiding them to is also important. Okay? If you recognize the responsibility that you might have, as you alluded to, having followers, despite the fact that you give a disclaimer, but you obviously understand you have followers, then where you are leading them towards is also important. And with Jordan Peterson, he is like the incredible like gateway drug to conservative politics, because he just he'll tell you that, like, no, systemic problems are an issue. It's not your fault that you can't get pussy, okay? It's the systemic change that occurred already, and we need to implement systemic change in the form of, like, reverting back to the norm, the traditional heteronormative patriarchy, so that you can get pussy again. He's not political. That's not what he says. He's not political. LMAO says Walter Many Balls. How many months is this motherfucker? 3-month subscriber. You're just mad that this guy found a thing he can do that works. He's telling people what they need to hear. What's it to you? Literally, why do you hate on him? What? He never says that? Dude, there's always some idiot in the chat. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't call you an idiot. Look, a lot of people get blinded by this kind of rhetoric, okay? But if you think that Jordan Peterson is not political, you're out of your mind, dude. This guy literally went on Turning Point USA seminars, participated alongside like the Trump administration, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shabibo. He's literally on Ben Shapiro's broadcast right now. Like, he is absolutely political. He is a conservative. He's a reactionary conservative that masks his reactionary conservatism by making it seem like he is an apolitical self-help guru, and like that straight up brings everything back to how the left is fucking bad. And there's some bad. There's bad on the reaction, or on the Republican side. The conservatives are bad too, but let's always hyper focus on the left. It's like saying I'm not political, dude, because I play video games. Hassan isn't political, guys. He's only famous for his 9/11 take. Just like Jordan Peterson is literally famous for his bastardized interpretation of a law, a pro-trans speech law that was implemented at the federal level in Canada, C-16, that was so fucking misconstrued and so bastardized that, like, C-16, yes, that the Canadian Bar Association literally had to correct the record that this was not this was being weaponized against trans people, and that it is completely wrong.
What is it that I'm supposed to be doing with them? Just out of curiosity. What do you think? If you had your druthers, would I ignore them? Would no one talk to them? Is that actually what you want? Well, the answer seems quite clear, that that is exactly what's wanted. That's what's held forth, because there's this implicit assumption in all of this critique that in my very active aid, I'm doing something immoral. immoral enough to be parodied, let's say, as red
Copium. I'm aiding them. I'm aiding and abetting. Yeah, dude. Dude, like literally every fucking cult, leader has said exactly the same things that Jordan Peterson has said. Now, Jordan Peterson's rhetoric is not as harmful as cult leaders. I'm sorry. He's not like directly leading you to fucking drink the Kool-Aid and die like other cult leaders do. But the cult that he's leading you towards is the cult of Christian traditionalism and just a traditionalist worldview, a conservative worldview. He just like slowly feeds you that by putting forward like just common sense opinions.
skull.
Oh, the all meat diet thing is probably not good for your fucking health, though. I'm sure plenty of people that watched the all meat diet stuff definitely got sucked into it. Are your beliefs not a cult? Bitch, half the time you can't even pin me down to a specific ideology within the left, and that is deliberate and on purpose. The fuck do you mean is your belief system not an ideology? Literally everyone gets mad because I criticize every aspect of the left.
So just what the hell's going on here? It's like, why is that now fodder for parody?
Because in that sense, I am like Jordan Peterson after all.
Or slander. Precisely. I mean, do you debate the fact that I'm helping? Well, you go read the comments yourself and see what you think. And so then I thought about that a bunch too. I thought, well, what is it with men, the men that I'm speaking to, let's say? Why are they responding positively? Why do they come to my lectures, the biblical lectures even, which is very surprising, right? Because what the hell are men doing at a biblical lecture, especially young men, especially when they could go do anything else and they have to pay for it? It's like, what are they doing coming to this lecture? Well, if the patriarchy is an evil tyranny, then the appropriate attitude towards any male ambition is to not treat it as ambition, but to treat it as nascent drive to tyrannical power, which is certainly what Foucault would recommend, for example, or Derrida, because it's all power. And so if you see some young man trying to stand up and better himself in any dimension, you're not going to trust that. You're going to identify that as the manifestation of tyrannical power. And clearly, if the patriarchy is a malevolent tyrant, then any sign of the desire to contribute to it should be at minimum not encouraged, but more subtly criticized and discouraged at every possible opportunity. And that's our culture.
If you enjoyed
This is so bad. I thought the voice he did for Jordan Peterson was Kermit the Frog, but it actually just sounds like Kermit. Yeah. Okay. Hot take. Jordan Peterson rarely tells you how to improve yourself, but instead how to fit into pre-structured roles of power that society is able for white males. Of course, taking that role of power feels like a personal improvement from a subjective point of view. But no, he does tell you how to improve yourself. I mean, that's why some of the self-help shit that I tell you, which is pretty solid advice, like cleaning your room or creating small goals for yourself that focus on achieving larger goals in the long term. This is a thing that I do in my life that has been very helpful, and I believe it's very helpful it could be very helpful for others as well. That stuff is actually just basic self-help shit, and it's good. It's successful. It's smart. It gives you a little dopamine rush. Like you get your hormones kicking in. Okay. When you achieve those little goals, and it helps you, go through your day a little bit easier. That is just like basic self-help shit. It's not profound. I don't think any of that is profound, to be honest. It's not a secret. And I don't know. I just it's barely self-help. It's common sense. I mean, yeah, but still. I guess the problem I have is not with Jordan Peterson saying like better yourself. It's when he says, "Don't cast stones before you, fix your own house," and you're never gonna fix your own house because a lot of the issues that we speak of do not revolve around like individuals solving the problems for themselves. Like, you're not going to eliminate racism. You're not going to eliminate racism, which is a systemic issue, by fucking yelling at a singular racist. You might make the immediate surrounding area more comfortable for those who are marginalized, and you have every right to self-defense in that regard. But like, that's not actually stopping other races from popping up. Okay, so whenever people hyper focus on the individual aspect of like systemic problems, I get a little annoyed because both liberals and conservatives do this, where conservatives will say like, what is systemic racism? It's just a collection of individuals being racist, and focus on the racists. Show me where the racists are. Show me where the racists are. And liberals will do a similar thing where they want to engage in like the immediate gratification that comes from like dismantling a racist structure in the form of like attacking someone that they perceive as racist or being racist at the time. And it doesn't work that way. Okay? It just does not work that way. Like, you didn't do shit by yelling at someone who you perceive as racist on Twitter. And there are instances where that person's infractions are not even up to the standard to yell at them. A lot of instances, actually. Okay? I think that's the angry woke social media culture many are talking about. Yeah, but that's what conservatives do as well. That's literally fucking conservative rhetoric right there. That's no different than Ben being like, what is systemic racism? Show me racism in the law. Show me a racist law, and I will fight it with you. Show me a racist person, and I'll fight it with you. And it's like, well, dog, that's not how this works. You know what I mean? You're not like the civil rights movement wasn't about like outing individual racists and canceling them. You know what I mean? It was structural change advocated for the clear and deliberate and precise message that that only could happen as a consequence of grassroots mobilization and an ongoing struggle to end oppression of that sort. Anyway, let's watch this last week tonight episode on hair, which I'm a little worried about.
Moving on.
Did you talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict? Nah, dude. Of course not. It's not in my title or anything. I'm going to change my title now.
Our main story tonight can...
Don't be rude. Man, people always come in here, like, literally, I spent the first 3 hours of the 3 hours and 23 minutes that I've been live talking about an issue, and motherfuckers be like...
Concerns hair, specifically black hair. The subject that
Look
gave
it
us
up.
the
Look up the
single
VOD.
greatest Real Housewives entrance of all time, when Kenya Moore crashed Marlo Hampton's wig launch with a marching band to promote her own line of hair products, and Portia Williams reacted like this.
Even if I did agree with Kenya in that fact that people's edges matter, they don't matter today, bitch. You are wrong. This is absolutely insane, okay? So today I don't agree. But tomorrow, yes, my edges matter and I'll be using the product.
You know what? As per usual, Portia is right about a number of things there. Kenya is wrong. Edges do matter. And I, like Portia, will also be using the product tomorrow. Monday is my wash day. And look, I realise I'm not the ideal person to talk about black hair. I look like I still go to an old-timey barber named Valentino and ask for the tidy Liza Minnelli. And I also know that the danger is when a white guy on TV starts confidently talking about black hair, even with the best of intentions, it can end something like this.
I didn't want the little tea light to overheat, and then all of a sudden we've got breaking news here at the channel.
I told you if the sprinkler systems come on, I'm done for the day.
Yeah, you go. That is not
Sitting up here
that
looking
is
like a
not-
mop.
Yeah, you don't want sprinkler system and a beautiful weave because they do not go together. Wow, you're beautiful. You said it was a weave, right?
It's not. Oh,
Wow, that is the exact right
Dude, you don't want to be looking like that while you say that a black woman has weaves on. Like, he doesn't seem like a genuinely racist person, right? Like, that's just unintentional, you know? But you can't be having a cop skull / have the fucking straight up skinhead cut while saying that.
reaction to announcing your black co-worker's hair is a weave live on air. Getting up from your desk and just running away. Running forever, running until your life fades behind you and your feet touch the ocean. Now, you should know, those two co-workers seem to have gotten over that incident, putting out a video titled Blaine and Layla Discuss Hair Weave a Rebuttal, where Blaine says he's learned the difference between quick weaves, lace fronts and sew-ins because of their friendship. But the fact is, on the
Pulled a racism, he had a bad day? No, I mean, guys, there's also a difference between like someone who means well, but like still did an accidental oopsie racism, and someone who's like, you know, deliberately doing and saying racist shit.
On the whole, white people don't really understand a lot about black hair. And by the way, if your first reaction to that was, hey, not all white people, maybe look inside yourself and figure out why that is your response to things. But importantly, that lack of understanding and lack of interest in understanding can have real consequences from the personal to the professional, as you probably know, either from experience or from seeing stories like this.
Chastity Jones was tangled in a nearly 10-year legal battle after she says an employer took back a job offer at an Alabama call center because she refused to cut her hair.
She said, "Are those?"
I'm sorry. You can't work at the call center if your hair looks like that. Everyone, it's just additionally hilarious because it's a fucking call center, dude. You literally do not. It's not even client facing in a physical or visual capacity. Like, it's a fucking call center.
Dreadlocks in your hair, and
People are gonna hear your hair.
Looked at her and I was like, "These."
Also, there's
And
nothing
she
in her.
said,
There's
"Yes."
nothing wrong with her hair,
I said,
obviously.
"Yes, they are." She said, "Well, we can accept that here."
Can you imagine turning someone away who wants to work at a call centre? The universe's most thankless job. A place where you answer the phone and immediately there's an angry woman screaming at you because some of the broccolini in her HelloFresh kit didn't smell right and now she wants to speak to Mr. Fresh. If you have someone who wants to do that job, let them. What's on their head has nothing to do with it. They could show up to work in a wig made of living ferrets and they deserve not only that position but double whatever you're paying them. The point is, black hair and hairstyles are frequently yet another pretext for discrimination. So tonight, let's talk about it. And let's start by understanding why black hair is so important. For centuries, black people in Africa innovated ways to protect and prolong the health of their hair. And that practice has continued and evolved into beautiful and distinct hairstyles with a deep connection to culture and heritage. And for as long as that has happened, white people have been unable to handle it. One of the first things slave traders would do was shave the heads of enslaved people, which erased their cultural identity. And black hair has historically been described in dehumanizing fashion, with racial typologist Charles Hamilton Smith describing his hierarchy of three main types of people: the bearded Caucasian type, the beardless Mongolic type, and the woolly-haired tropical type.
That's it. That's the three types of people, dude.
And the only time woolly-haired tropical is an acceptable term to use is if you're talking about Madagascar's woolly lemur, a tropical little sweetie who always looks like he just accidentally replied all.
Bro, motherfuckers used to write shit like this and really think they did something. You know what I mean? Like, imagine at the time you're reading that and you're like, oh, my friend, he absolutely popped off right here, right-ho. Very good. Once again, oh! Once again, sir! Excellent, excellent take!
Tropical is an acceptable term to use is if you're talking about Madagascar's woolly lemur, a tropical little sweetie who always looks like he just accidentally replied all. Other than that, it's off limits. Now, By the late 19th century, beauty companies were advertising products like skin lighteners and hair straighteners, reinforcing the idea that black hair was dirty and unkempt, and the closer your appearance was to whiteness, the better, like in this ad from 1900 from Magnetic Comb that promised to destroy the hair germs on your head and take you from a curly-haired black person to a straight-haired white one. And the desire to make black hair smoother and straighter was so strong. Just listen to the sheer delight this British newsreel takes in showing you the process.
Combs come into play. Kept constantly heated, they are passed through each section of the hair until all trace of kinkiness disappears. It's not all plain sailing naturally, and it's not quite a permanent, if you follow me. If the hair gets really wet or steamed up, it unstraightens itself and back come the kinks.
Oh no! Hearing that beauty standard reinforced in that particular voice is definitely a sign that something has gone terribly wrong. And I know, for some viewers, passing a hot metal comb through the hair to straighten it might look like a curio from the distant past, but I guarantee some of you were just transported back to being 8 years old, sitting on a high stool in the kitchen at 6 a.m. on school picture day, holding your ears down while your mum or grandma gets the hot comb uncomfortably close to your scalp. For some, the smell of burning hair is a sign that something's wrong, but for others, it brings back memories. By the 1960s and 70s, though, the embrace of black hair's natural texture and culturally significant styles had become a radical act of self-acceptance and political power.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach?
Kind of wild that John Oliver, the prophet of liberalism, is like throwing up a Malcolm X clip, dude.
Get like the white man.
White people. The answer is white people. That question...
Kind of funny. He's just like... John Oliver is like me saying Chile or like making fun of white people doing AAVE where I do it myself. But like permanently like that. You know what I mean? He is permanently whiter than like my whitest moments. Okay? So for him to talk about this issue is so funny. Because like... He's not only white, but he's like one of the whitest motherfuckers on the planet and British on top of that. Yeah, Chile. Woo, Chile.
Answers itself, just like the answer to the questions, who lets their dogs kiss them in the mouth, who wants to pick apples for fun, and who's coming to dinner on Ina Garten's show. The answer is white people. But despite the natural hair movement, white people's discomfort and ignorance around black hair has very much remained. One study found black women were 80% more likely to agree with the statement, "I have to change my hair from its natural state to fit in at the office." And another found that black women with natural hairstyles were perceived to be less professional, less competent, and less likely to be recommended for a job interview. The point is, the way your hair is perceived, and therefore the way you are perceived, can manifest in all sorts of ways.
I know the anxiety that people have after getting their hair done, then like, okay, what's gonna happen when I go to work? Are they gonna say anything? You know, it's a big thing. And
Wait, do you actually think the show's problematic in some way? What? No, dude. Dude, when do I ever fucking say something is problematic, dude? Like, even if shit could be perceived as problematic, I'll usually just like overlook it out of a sense of understanding. Like, when do I ever say shit like that when I'm like, this is problematic, sweaty? How long have you guys been watching me, dude?
In the workplace, a lot of people don't want to draw attention to themselves, so they try to do the norm.
A lot of the time, I would always get people just like saying how like soft my hair is and everything, and like wanting to touch it. That's like always a big thing. Touch it? And like adults doing that too.
Yeah,
I'm like,
grown women, like, can I touch it? You know, you don't touch no black woman here. No, you already know that.
I feel like you're in a zoo.
Look, you obviously shouldn't be made to feel like you're in a zoo ever for any reason. Also, and this is clearly not the point, but if you are touching animals at the zoo, you're doing the zoo wrong. Don't be stressing out the otters by shouting unwanted questions and trying to sneak your hands into the cages to cop a feel. Yes, the bald eagle's feathers are laid, but don't shout, "Yas, queen," and try to pet her. Unlike your co-workers, the eagle will snap your fucking fingers off and you will have it coming. Unfortunately, though, white people's biases and ignorance are often just laying in wait for the right moment to strike.
Jonathan Sutherland is a Penn State football captain and a Dean's List student. But what people are talking about tonight is his hair. That's thanks to this letter. The author is a proclaimed alumnus from decades ago named David Peterson. He calls Sutherland's hair awful, stating his locks are disgusting and are certainly not attractive. He also writes, "We would welcome the reappearance of dress codes for..."
I want to see what this motherfucker looks like. What the fuck does I need to know what this motherfucker looks like right now, dude. I hope they show it.
Everything about that is upsetting, from the racist attitude to the hurtful language to the fact that he chose to express moral outrage over something in college football, but it's not...
You know, just like the thumb-like qualities of that outrage. Like I can literally see how much of a thumb he looks like. Okay?
The NCAA makes millions off student athletes. Instead, it's, I can see your hair outside your helmet. Now, that man later explained that he only wrote the letter because I was just disgruntled about some of the hairdos that we're seeing. You think of Penn State as a bunch of clean-cut guys.
I was wrong.
And you think of Penn State as is just not a sentence that ends well under any circumstance, especially when you realize that man actually got a degree from Penn State in 1966, the same year as Jerry Sandusky, who somehow, despite his short hair, turned out to be a heinous sex criminal. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's almost like the haircut doesn't fucking matter. And it starts way before college. You may remember the terrible case of high school wrestler Andrew Johnson, who was basically forced to cut his locks off or forfeit an important wrestling match by a referee. That case made national news, but there are hundreds of others that don't. From the school in Kentucky that once banned, and I quote, dreadlocks and corn rolls, to twin sisters in Massachusetts that received hours of detention because of their braided hair, to this daycare in suburban Chicago.
Mom may like the smell, but according to this note Tiona Norris posted on her Facebook page, Amaya's teacher didn't like it, basically saying,
"Your child stinks. Don't put the coconut oil in her hair." The kids were teasing her.
Norris says Amaya was the only black child in her preschool class at the Raggedy Ann Learning Center in Elmhurst.
I was just hurt for my child.
Especially after Norris says she met with the teacher and school administrator and learned the children in the class never complained. It was just the teacher who didn't like the smell. We called the school and left several messages. We visited and got this.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Tucker from Channel 2 News.
Goodbye.
Wow, that feels like a perfect...
This is so America. Like having a no gun like sign outside of the school is just like, bro, it's literally a preschool, dude.
Staged 5-second play encapsulating the history of race relations in America. A black person trying to discuss racial inequality with a white person who then immediately says, goodbye. So black people from an early age are often told that their hair is unattractive and needs to be corrected. And that is already just a lot before you even start getting into all the ways that society makes it difficult to navigate the world because of your hair. Even just buying hair products can be an unnecessary challenge, with black hair products routinely locked in a case where someone has to come with a key to get it for you, or maybe even walk it to the register, in the same aisle where products for white people that cost just as much or more are simply sitting out on the shelves. And the explanation for this is...
I wonder what the reason for that is.
Never great.
So I went and found the manager, and I said, I'm waiting for the key for shampoo and conditioner. I said, but let me ask you, why are the black hair products locked up and not the white hair products? He said, and another associate said, well, people have been stealing.
Yeah. Now, that Walmart claims that it was based on data of theft in the store. But when a town council member asked to see that data, the store instructed her to call 1-800-WALMART. And just out of interest, on a touch-tone phone, which button do you press to hear the bullshit data used to justify locking up $4 Eco-Styler gel? Is that like number 7, or do you have to ask for an associate first? So it is already hard enough to get products to do your hair at home, but finding a qualified stylist can be even harder. The cosmetology industry mostly revolves around and trains for caring for straight, non-textured hair. So there is no guarantee that a stylist in your area can work with black hair. Just watch one TikToker call 23 salons in their hometown and get nothing but responses like these.
I was wondering if you guys worked with African American hair, specifically for C-type? We do not. None of the girls do here. No. We don't really have a lot of experience. So I would say that you're probably better to keep looking around.
I was wondering if you guys were able to work with African American hair, specifically for C-type?
Oh, hold on just a moment. Let me ask. Is anybody familiar with
Oh, what a wonderful question.
African American hair? Not very much.
Yeah, that's not great. But I do love that receptionist is asking the entire staff like she just got called as a phone a friend on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Hey, Donna, it's the $25,000 question. Can you do a silk press and bump those ends? Final answer, she can't. And this isn't just a problem in salons. Even in Hollywood, stylists who are both familiar with black hair and who are in the stylist union are rare, and actors definitely know when their production has failed to hire one.
I was on this show. They made me a series regular. I was hella pumped. Walked in a hair and makeup trailer first time. Oh shit, I'm about to like get paid. Let me see. Homegirl, this white lady, she tapped my head.
Yeah.
Not lying, she tapped it, sprayed some water, didn't brush, didn't comb, and left. And I was like, oh, wow.
Now, I actually recommend going back and watching each actor in that clip as he tells that story, because you really get the sense that every one of them identifies with what he's saying there. And it's not ideal that for a lot of hairstylists, their strategy to deal with black clients is the same that you would use to get your cat off the kitchen counter. Give them a little spritz, and then give them a pat on the head so they know you're not mad. And when you consider all of the obstacles that get placed in the path of black people, it's understandably pretty hard to take when white people wear the exact same hairstyles that they get judgment for. From Bo Derek, famously wearing braids in the movie 10, to Adele and Miley Cyrus trying on black hairstyles for fun, to this Comme des Garçons fashion show at which the models wore lace-front cornrow wigs, which were awful in every possible way. I mean, just look at that thing.
God damn.
There's enough room between...
Bro, when the fucking alien takes over your head, like the alien crab fully sucks up your brain juice. What is that, dude? What the fuck's going on? I mean, look, I got a fucking bison horn on my head, and that shit is ridiculous, okay?
Each braid to land a fucking plane there. And you don't even have to look closely to see the model's dark hair through the lace. Come on. You put a wig cap on first, then you put the wig on. You grab your gotta be spray or wig glue, you melt that lace, and you lay those edges down so well they fall asleep. There are only two situations where that appalling level of wig application is acceptable. Either you're in the middle of hosting an episode of SNL, or you're posing as a British nanny to stay close to your children after your divorce. That is it. And the thing is, white people appropriating black hairstyles isn't just infuriating. It can directly make it harder for black people to fight discrimination concerning their hair.
There was a court case in 1981, a discrimination suit filed by a black woman named Renee Rogers. She had worked for American Airlines, and she wore her hair in cornrows. Her legal argument was that her hairstyle was a part of her cultural heritage. The judge ruled against her in federal court because he said she got her hair done soon after the movie 10 came out, and therefore there was no legal basis for saying it was cultural heritage because she was doing something that essentially was imitating how Bo Derek styled her hair.
Yeah, it's true. Among the reasons he dismissed her
Yikes,
case,
dude.
the judge suggested...
That's so fucked up. Nah, you just saw it. You just saw it after a white person did it. It's just, that's great. That's crazy.
That a black person wearing a traditionally black hairstyle was just copying a white celebrity who stole it from black people, which is just ridiculous. Hairstyles have cultural roots. They don't just come out of nowhere to sweep the nation, with the sole exception, of course, of the Rachel, which wasn't appropriated from any culture. It simply sprang forth fully formed from the concept known as the 90s. And I wish I could say that that is a thing of the past, but you know it isn't. Chastity Jones, the woman you saw earlier, spent years appealing her case, only to lose, in part, because judges interpreted civil rights...
My hot take on cultural appropriation of hair is that, and I am going to be painfully Yakubian when I say this, so trigger warning, is that it wouldn't be as big as a problem if there wasn't so much fucking oppression that revolves around black people wearing their hair whichever fucking way they want to. Okay? That's the only reason why there is a problem with it. Because black people still get discriminated against for wearing their hair the way that they do, while white people are celebrated for adopting those same hairstyles for a little bit. You could say, what about the Vikings or all of these other like cultures that may or may not have braided their hairs? But again, and I repeat myself on this one, it's the black people that are being targeted for having or wearing their hair the way that they do.
Rights law to protect against discrimination based only on immutable or unchangeable characteristics associated with race, like skin color. So for decades, courts have found that hairstyles, even though they are deeply tied to racial identity, are not covered. And all of that means that a younger generation can still end up having to deal with this shit.
19-year-old Destiny Tompkins has
Clever comebacks is what Kenyon Martin said about Jeremy Lin. Do I need to remind this boy his last name is Lin? Martin said with a sarcastic face and tone like, come on, man, let's stop with these people. There's no way he possibly could have made it on one of our teams that bullshit on his head. We need to tell him, like, all right, bro, we get it. You want to be black? Like, we get it. Hey, man, this all good. You don't definitely need to like my hair and definitely entitled to your opinion. Actually, I'm legit grateful you shared it, to be honest. At the end of the day, I appreciate that I have dreads and you have a Chinese tattoo because I think it's a sign of respect. And I think as minorities, the more we appreciate each other's cultures, the more we influence mainstream society. Thanks for everything you did for the Nets and hoops. Had your poster on my wall growing up. Oh, goddamn. He had like Harvard Andy, by the way. Is the whitest bitch you will ever meet. Black people have beautiful hair. Nice. Some hairstyles are objectively bad through a cross culture. I mean, Jeremy Lin's looking like he's loving white boy summer with that haircut, but I mean, it looks kind of cool in this. Lin is actually literally a Harvard Andy. Harvard Andy. Martin's just mad because he's bald. Vikings didn't go to battle in box braid, different types of braids. I mean, no, but if white people put in box braids, their hair will fall out. The thing is, like, his hair like this, I mean, it fucking, it looks cool. Like, it does. He looks like, he looks like fucking Vikings from History Channel's Vikings. What do you want me to do? You want me to lie? I do think it looks cool. I'm a fucking hippie. I love natural black hair. Dreads or froze. I wish more people wore their natural hair and weren't oppressed for it. Wait, so is people with Chinese scripture or kanji on their arms cultural appropriation, and if not, why? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know where that argument goes. In this photo, it does look good. I have to agree. I mean, he does look good in this photo. The History Channel is notorious for being wrong. Yeah, I know. Can you explain what Harvard Andy is? He went to Harvard. He graduated from Harvard. It all depends on the type of hair you have. Some European groups have very coiled hair, but not everyone can pull it off. I get mad when people say, look, my cultural appropriation takes are triggering to a lot of people who are very, very woke. Okay? Because people get upset because I'm like, I'm a product of cultural appropriation, I guess, to a degree. Cultural appreciation, cultural assimilation. I am also very white, so maybe that's the reason. But I'm a globalist, you know. I'm a shitty, dirty, fucking piece of shit internationalist. So I believe that culture has never ever existed in a vacuum, and that Like everything that we appreciate is a direct consequence of cultures mixing and matching by way of trade, war, and just overall socializing. So you're not gonna see me shit on people fucking appropriating culture too much.